you're gonna break into. Crazy love, you got me worried. I don't know why you make me blue. Every time I call your telephone line, I gotta stop and hang up on you.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. We've got a busy show scheduled for today. Oh, yeah. The show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limousine someplace in the United States or even Canada, and you happen to want a really hottie driving you around, well, then you need to give my girl Kat a call, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. Tell her Billy C sent you, but just remember, she's my girl. The show's also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. The show's also being brought to you in part by my friends down at the Halftime Bar and Grill. That's right, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Check them out, only if you happen to like good people. Drink specials, live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights, and fantastic food. If you like any of that stuff, then you need to swing down to Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls, New York. Call ahead for a reservation if you want, or just drop in. 518-792-4869 is the number. 518-792-4869. And don't forget, if you like hot sauce, you got to try the Billy C hot sauce. That's right, we got our own hot sauce, but only one cook has the secret recipe. His name is Craig. If he's there, you're in luck. Check it out. Let me know. 518-792-4869. And, of course, the show is being brought to you in part by Ringside.com. That's right. For all your boxing equipment needs, there's only one place, and that is Ringside.com. Ringside Boxing Equipment, it's where it's at, man. Check it out, www.ringside.com. Make sure you mention Billy C to get a discount. And by the way, for anybody that's a trainer or even a gym owner, you need to email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I can get you even bigger and better discounts at ringside.com. So check it out, www.ringside.com. Hey, when you email me, don't forget, it's Billy at Talkin, TALKIN, and then BOXING.com. All right? You got to remember to drop the G in talking, but not in boxing. Oh, God, how did it become so confusing? But anyway, as we like to do all the time, is we like to start off with some emails, and I got quite a few today. Alex Papali may not be joining us a little bit later because he's a little under the weather today to do the Blast from the Past, but we will be doing it. It's on Eder Jaffe, And that was a request. If you have a request of a blast, make sure you drop me an email. We do have a little list going, so if you email it to me, I will promise that we'll get to it. I can't tell you when, but we will. I promise. So email it to Billy at, and then Talkin, TALKIN, and Boxing, BOXING.com. Given Quality, my man, Given Quality says, I said, now, of course, we know that part of the conversation is about Floyd, right? He says, I said he was the most skilled fighter you have seen all around. I don't agree with that. But he says that. He says, I didn't say he would beat Sugar Ray Robinson. Oh, well, good. I'm glad you feel that way because, in my opinion, I don't. And Given Quality says, I said it's our opinions if he would win or not. That I agree with you 100%, Given Quality, and I respect your opinion. We all have our favorite fighters, and, you're obviously your favorite fighter for the reasons you've mentioned many, many times is Floyd, and I respect you for that. All I ask is that you keep an open mind, and I try to all the time as well. I have my hang-ups with Floyd, but I try to keep an open mind for, strictly his boxing skills. So I need you to keep an open mind, too. It's like kids. I tell kids, here, you want to try it? Oh, no, I don't like to eat that. Well, did you try it? No. Well, if you try it and then you don't like it, I respect it. So in boxing, hey, I respect your opinion. Just don't, at least give some thought to other people's opinions. He said throwback fighter. He thinks Floyd's a throwback fighter because he's always in shape and has perfected his craft and lived the life of a boxer. He comes from a legacy of world title holders in his family. They've molded a style which is, at this point, very productive and hard to break down by any type of fighter. He is clearly the top of the Mayweather name or brand. Vladimir beat Zab. He was the best at the time. He didn't pay sanctioning fees. Otherwise, he would have had all the belts. Floyd Mayweather does it all, and you always say boring. 130 to 140, there are hardly any boring fights. He stalked his opponents and broke them down. Stop with the godlike image. That's your BS words. I'm talking about him as an athlete and boxer. All the other crap is your words, not mine. You will never change my judgment because it's obvious he is the most skilled, and his peers even have said it, that he's a throwback fighter because of the skills of his sweet science, because of the skills of for sweet science. Listen, man. Again, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. He is, in my opinion, he's not a throwback fighter because he doesn't. I disagree with what you're saying is the reason. He has not perfected his craft and lived the life of a boxer. A boxer, if your interpretation of a boxer living like Floyd Mayweather, you're extremely deluded because the bottom line is, most boxers don't live like that. As far as perfecting his craft, you know what? He's perfected his craft to his style. He's perfected Floyd Mayweather's style, which I give him credit for. As far as Vladimir and Zab and all of that, listen, we've beaten that one to death. I'm not going to go anymore. His peers are going to say he's the best because they all want a shot at a big money fight with him. And how can you compare? I don't care about the peers. Historically, I want to talk to boxing historians that have seen and evaluated other fighters to put him in his place at the time. Not now. We shouldn't even be talking about Floyd as an all-time great right now because he hasn't even finished his career yet. I told you, man, what I like to do after a fighter retires, I like to think about his accomplishments after he retires and then put him in his place. I don't like discussing pound for pound or all-time greats or anything like that until their career is over, their active career. Now, we do know that there are exceptions to that rule, like Bernard Hopkins. We know that it's going to be a Hall of Famer. We know Floyd's going to be a Hall of Famer. But as far as all-time great, we gotta wait on that one. That's my opinion. Given Quality goes on to say, most of the guys you like, meaning me, today are extremely one-dimensional and don't utilize defense nor sweet science. barroom, street fight boxing is not what this sport is about. Dude, I agree with you, and I am an advocate for defensive fighting. I like good defense. Listen, most of the fighters I like today are exciting. I think it brings not only to the sport, but to grow the fan base. I'm all for excitement, and I wouldn't have a hang up with Floyd if he fought more frequently. Floyd doesn't fight enough. He claims he's the best and handpicks his opponents. If he was truly the best, there would be one or two guys that he would publicly be going after right now to sign a fight for, even if it's a year down the road. That, of course, is Sergio Martinez and possibly Manny Pacquiao. If Manny Pacquiao can build up his status again, I mean, right now, I wouldn't blame Floyd if he doesn't fight him. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When I come back, I got several more emails to read, and I want to finish up on Given Quality stuff because, man, I respect Given Quality's opinion. What I get sick of is the constant putting Floyd on a pedestal crap. And then it makes me constantly talk negative about Floyd, which my only hang-up with Floyd, aside from his hand-picked opponents, is the fact that it's the Floyd outside the ring I don't like, which I try not to factor into his ability. Right now, actively, he's clearly the best fighter. I mean, but that doesn't change my feelings about him outside the ring. But that has nothing to do with this. We'll be right back.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. Don't forget, we got the updated Billy C Challenge rankings and stats and all that happy stuff up on the website. I want to congratulate our October winner, which is Blakely Berger. And Blakely's got to drop me an email, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, so he can get his choice of prizes, so we can announce what he won. You know, we're going to give him a couple of choices of some good stuff. Dave Murphy finished second for the month of October. And it was tied, a bunch of people tied for third place. Ryan, Jerry Murray, Marty Mulcahy, Robert Day, all finished with the same percentage to finish in the third spot, including myself. But just to let you know, our current year-to-date winners, leaders right now, the monthly leaders in for November really is Johnny Robbins and Jerry Murray are tied with me 100%, baby, 15 out of 15. But the big grand prize, the prize that I guess I would want to win if I was eligible, is the year-to-date leaders. And right now, the year-to-date leaders is Blakely Berger. Blakely Berger is moved out in front. He's leading right now for the year-to-date. He's got 85 out of 98 picks correct at an 87% winning percentage. He's got several guys hot on his heels at 86%. Johnny Robbins, Ryan Kinzit, Danny Henderson, and Jerry Murray all tied for second for the year end. Where do I place? I'm right after them. I'm in third place for year, 88 out of 103, 85%. So we'll see what takes place for the rest of the year. So if you're thinking about joining the Billy C Challenge, what are you waiting for? It's still you still got time. Dan the Man Henderson joined not too long ago. He's already eligible for prizes, so get involved with that. Billy at Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Given Quality says, barroom street fight boxing is not what the sport is about. I agree with that 100%. I do. It's funny because he's referring to fighters that I like Bam Bam Rios and guys that come at you, Abner Mares, stuff like that. And yet I'm similar to Given Quality when I comment on guys like Brian Minto and these club fighters. So I get it. But I'm also looking at the good of the sport, and excitement is what people want. I mean, you wonder why MMA is doing well. There's times when they're leg locked on the canvas, and you see two guys leg locked on the canvas. Just like okay. And it's hanging out there till the submission hold. That's not exciting. But when they're kicking each other in the face and punching each other on that attack, and sometimes it is exciting. Let's see. He says, all you can judge from these types of fighters are heart and ignorance, not to protect themselves. CompuBox is flawed, although it's clearly evident by eye test. Floyd Mayweather lands at the best rate of any fighter and gets hit to lead. Blah, blah, blah. I don't even want to talk about that. He says, I like Gary Russell, but Billy C, smack yourself for comparing the 2 of 20 fights in his career. Talk about cherry-picking way of bums only through 20 fights is exactly what Gary Russell has done. 20 fights in Floyd Mayweather's career. He was a lineal champ already in 2 years. Versus Gary Russell Jr. is still a developing fighter. After 3 years and 20 fights, still hasn't taken any real threats. Yet you think somehow he's already better at that stage of his career. You blind by your hate. Keep crap in perspective. 147 is when Floyd Mayweather switched to patient, cautious style. You mean chicken? You mean chicken style? Oh. Listen, man, I look at the attributes of Gary Russell Jr., and my point yesterday was that what I liked about him, I wasn't comparing him, after 20 fights. What I said was what I liked about him was that he possessed speed, he does possess defense, and he's exciting. He brings it to you. Floyd waits. I personally think that Gary Russell Jr. is more exciting than Floyd, and if he continues on the pace that he is right now, he will become more appreciated than Floyd. No, not many people appreciate Floyd, but anyway, thanks for the emails. Keep them coming. Andre A says, God, such a Mayweather hater. It's too much more than his boxing. Just hate him for being a too good fighter instead of just random hate. It's weird. Or do you just hate blacks? Just asking. I don't know you that well. Dude, it has nothing. I can't stand when they bring up the race card. Can't stand it. And I think that is a lot of the issues with Floyd Mayweather. He goes after black Americans and tries to make it like it's a homeboy thing. That's not it. All right, I can't stand Floyd Mayweather, the person. That's outside the ring. His antics, his persona. Can't stand it. Yes, I admit it. I don't like him. I have an opinion. You have an opinion, Andre. Everyone has an opinion. As far as talent-wise, based on today's people, based on today's fighters, he's up there. He's pound for pound one of the top 5 fighters. I have him ranked number 3. I have Andre Ward ranked higher because Andre Ward fights more often, and he fights tougher opposition. He fights the best available fighters in his division, something I don't believe Floyd does. I also have Sergio Martinez ranked at number 2. Why? Same reasons. Sergio Martinez seeks out the best fighters. He fights often. So that's the reason, in my personal pound for pound. Robert says, Billy C., Sugar Ray Leonard versus Sugar Ray Robinson, Marvin Hagler versus Saul Canelo Alvarez, and Marvin Hagler versus Floyd Mayweather. What are your predictions on these fights? I want your honest opinion. Do you think Manny versus Mayweather will happen? Not happening will hurt the sport. I feel if this fight doesn't happen, I think this would be the downfall for boxing. Robert, let's cover the first thing. Sugar Ray Leonard against Sugar Ray Robinson. Listen, in my opinion, Sugar Ray Robinson was the best fighter of all time. He had a full resume of what he could do. His skill set was complete. He had good footwork. He had great defense. He had power in both hands. He could jab you. He could bang with you. He did not duck anyone, except for Charlie Burley. He fought his share of tomato cans. There's no question about it. He was a hard negotiator, just like Floyd. He made fights that made financial sense, just like Floyd, but he also made the fights that the fans wanted to see and stuff like that. Sugar Ray Leonard was a media darling. People loved Sugar Ray Leonard. There were times I loved him. There were times I hated him. I thought he was a smaller version of Muhammad Ali. I think he was a great fighter. He's justifiably in the Hall of Fame. Very talented fighter. There's no question about it. He had a complete game. Mentally very strong, very smart, very, very smart. His intelligence carried him through some tough fights. And his heart. A lot of people forget to throw in the heart when you mention Sugar Ray Leonard. If Sugar Ray Leonard and Sugar Ray Robinson had the fight between the Sugars, hypothetically, we all know that we don't have a time machine and we can't make it happen. But if it did, again, I put my money on Sugar Ray Robinson. Whenever you had the one fight, that one dream fight, that one fight, who wins that one time, I put my money on Sugar Ray, Sugar Ray Robinson, no question about that. As far as Hagler versus Canelo, Canelo is getting a lot of credit for being a young fighter. I think he's technically sound. I think Canelo is definitely technically sound. I do notice some flaws in the way his feet are. Not his feet, is more of like his knees lock into place, and he seems very awkward. He doesn't seem fluid, but he keeps his hands up. He delivers his punches very straight. I think he's going to be around for a long time if he chooses to be. He's still developing, even though he seems to have risen to the top of his division. But Marvin Hagler was a different animal. An animal is a good choice of words. I think that Marvin Hagler would just be too rough and tumble for Saul, at least today's Saul Alvarez, the one we see today. So again, my money goes with Hagler. And Hagler against Floyd Mayweather, that's an interesting fight. And, at first I say Marvin Hagler because, I root against Floyd no matter what. But, if you look at the Sugar Ray Leonard fight against Marvin Hagler, the reason why Hagler, well, in my opinion, it was a draw, but the reason why Hagler technically lost was he made some stupid mistakes, and one of them was that he tried to outbox a boxer. I think the big question with Marvin Hagler fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. would be this: which Marvin Hagler shows up? Is it the Marvin Hagler who was Marvin Hagler's worst enemy? You know, when you go back in the history of Marvin Hagler, you could only blame Marvin Hagler for doing unorthodox things when he came up with the loss, like that choice of him to try to outbox a boxer. If he would have fought Sugar Ray Leonard with the same game plan as he fought Tommy the Hitman Hearns, I think we would have all seen a different result. With that said, if he went in and tried to beat up Floyd Mayweather like he did with Tommy Hearns. Now, I'm not comparing Hearns to Mayweather. Obviously, Floyd has much better defense than Mayweather, and he doesn't have that tall, lanky body. He's more compact, more suited to take a shot. Not that I think he can handle a good shot. If anyone can land one, that's the whole thing. His defense is so solid. But when push comes to shove, again, if I had to pick a result for one fight, if these two guys got it on and fought once, I would go with Hagler. And finally, your last question, you said, in my honest opinion, Mayweather versus Manny versus Mayweather not happening, can it hurt the sport? You feel that if it doesn't happen, it'll be the downfall of boxing. Listen, boxing is going to survive. It's had its ups and downs. I'm a historian. My book is going to be out soon about a bare-knuckle fighter. A lot of the things have not changed with it. It'll survive, so it's not going to kill it. We're already coming back from a severe downfall. I think the popularity of boxing is on the rise right now. I think another reason for it is because worldwide the economy is so bad. And if you look back in the history of boxing, you'll see a parallel. When the economy has been terrible, boxing has been good. When the economy is good, boxing takes a back seat. With all that said, I think that fight should have happened 1.5 to 2 years ago. If it does happen, it'll be great for the two fighters. I'm not so sure how the fight itself will be. I think the pressure is on Manny right now to perform at a level like the old Manny, and then I think we might see the fight. Right now, for Floyd, Saul Alvarez, Sergio Martinez, Manny Pacquiao, who else is there, really? But anyway, hey, I got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy,
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech.
Leave,
What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. I want to welcome the Fight Now audience. Just join us like they do every day, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you don't have a Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, well, you're going to be missing a great fight weekend because Carl Froch is taking on Yusef Mack, and it will be available on the Fight Now network. For Fight Now subscribers, that's right, for free, part of your Fight Now package. Otherwise, you got to pay for it, man. So, hey, if you've been waiting around for Fight Now, now's the time to do it. Visit their website for all the information, www.fightnow.com. And by the way, any television provider, whether it's satellite or cable, knows about Fight Now and can get it for you. So all you got to do is pick up the phone and call them. Tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the Fight Now listeners and viewers watching us now, you got to tell your buddies, man, what they're missing out on. But anyway, we got some emails going on. And Froggy the Drum says, Australasia is the continent where you will find the country Australia amongst others, you dopey bastard. That's because I was like reading a press release about Ricky Hatton last week. It said something about Australasia. I was like, Australasia? What the hell is that? Yeah, I guess I am a dopey bastard. I must have skipped school that day. I knew Asia was a continent, but I didn't realize that Australasia was one. So hey, thanks for the lesson, the schooling from Froggy the Drum, calling me a dopey bastard. He's right there, man. I can't complain. My man Biggerback says, I believe Pernell Whitaker should be in the discussion of top 15 all time. If you judge by boxing ability alone, he would have done great at any era. Like the old-timers, Whitaker didn't need to pad his record. He fought tough since the beginning. He fought way above his natural weight and did very well. I can't disagree with that. I didn't see your top all-time great top 10 list, Biggerback. So if you sent it in, give it to us. Because I want to read the all-time great top 10, actually the top 20 from the listeners. We're still calculating it, how it works out. The most number ones becomes number one, then the next most picks becomes number two, and we're working on that now. Biggerback goes on to say his fight with Buddy McGirt, in my opinion, was one of the most underrated fights, and I think he did beat Chavez and De La Hoya. The James Buddy McGirt fight was a fantastic fight, and I agree with Biggerback. I wonder why a lot of people don't talk about that fight as being one of the best. I always liked Pernell Whitaker. Never was in love with the guy, but always liked him. But I was always a big fan of Buddy McGirt. So, and even more so now that I've had a couple of drinks with him, and he smokes these big fat stogie cigars, and I like the thinner ones. But anyway, he says, quick question: who do you think was better defensively, Whitaker or Nicolino Laloche? Wow. That's a really tough question. Good thing J-Man's not in the chat room right now to crucify me, because my answer would be Pernell Whitaker. I'm not taking anything away from Laloche, because this was a guy that was amazing defensively. But what I liked about Pernell Whitaker versus Nicolino Laloche was the fact that Purnell was a little more offensive-minded. So not only was he solid defensively, but he would counterpunch a little better, and he would use his defensive abilities to set up his offense. Nicolino Laloche, from footage and film that I've seen of him, he was very strong defensively, and then would shift gears and go into offensive mode. Wasn't as fluent, covering up or avoiding punches with his head, and then coming back counter punching immediately. It was like there was a delay. He had to shift gears. Like his mind was, I'm defense, and then now I'm offense. Whereas Whitaker was, I'm defense, offense, I'm offense, I'm defense, I'm one complete package. So I actually think that Pernell Whitaker has a nod over Laloche, even though Laloche is a great fighter. And finally, Biggerback says, whoever you think, they are both much better than Floyd. There's no question about that defensively. I know today's fan that loves Floyd thinks he's, just so well-rounded. And, it's tough to judge because the guy never fights. And then when he does fight, they're hand-picked opponents that, match up with him. And although I gave him credit for fighting Victor Ortiz, I mean, come on, Victor Ortiz is like Given Quality says, I mean, he's not exactly a polished fighter. So, Floyd knew that. Floyd knew, and I love Ricky Hatton, but Floyd knew that Ricky Hatton was going to come right at him, a one-dimensional fighter, you're right. I agree. Both of them are better than Floyd defensively. Dan the Man Henderson says, my view on Floyd Mayweather. See, you guys all complain about talking about Floyd Mayweather Jr., but you guys bring him up all the time. He says, my view on Floyd Mayweather Jr. is this. The guy has the skill set and the talent to potentially go down as a pound-for-pound great. But for me, he won't, because he selected his opponent solely on how much money he can get for minimal risk, which for me is fine. Do what you have to do to in order to earn a living, but do not claim you're the best while doing it. That I agree with. And that I think is my biggest hang-up with Floyd, aside from just Floyd the man, because I think he's a punk. But the truth of the matter is don't handpick your opponents and tell me that you're the best. I'm very critical of B.J. Flores for doing just that. He pounds his chest and tells everybody how great he is, but he doesn't back it up with anything. And I agree with that statement from Dan the Man. He goes on to say, if listeners like Given Quality thinks he's the best, then he's deluded, seriously deluded. He's a scared guy, because if he was solely for the money, he would have fought Pacquiao already and made millions and broke pay-per-view records. But he knows there is a good chance that he could lose, even though I think he would beat Pac. I agree with you that I think he would beat Pacquiao. I don't think he's scared. I think Floyd needs everything lined up perfectly for him. He wants all of the financial deals the way he wants them. He wants an opponent that is weaker than him in a way, or I don't mean physically, but there's a deficiency that Floyd sees that could make him win. It's not all about the money for Floyd. It's mostly about the money. The other part of that is it's risk versus reward, Dan. And the bottom line is this. He wants to make the most money with the least amount of risk. Now, when you put your business hat on, and like you said earlier, you can't knock the guy for that. But in boxing, and the nature of the beast, the nature of this sport is you want to be the best. So somewhere along the line, that priority of just money for fighting the least talented fighter or with the least amount of risk of losing, if he left that train of thought and went after somebody like, for an example, if he accepted a fight for less money against Sergio Martinez, I would respect him immensely, because that would show me that he does care about showing people like us that he can beat a guy like Sergio Martinez, who technically is bigger than him and everything else. So, I think when it comes to boxing, you could be very successful making the right moves, risk versus reward, making the right money and everything else. But when it gets to that next step, when you start, demanding that you're the best fighter of all time, or claiming you're the best fighter and demanding to be placed in a pound-for-pound ranking or an all-time great pound-for-pound ranking. Now it has to go beyond the money. You have to make a statement. I don't see a signature fight in Floyd Mayweather's career, really, at any weight, where you could say, oh, man, yeah, he beat the best available out there. Some people thought he was going to lose. Most people thought he was going to lose, but he won. And, you look at Sugar Ray Leonard, whether you agree that he beat Hagler or not, I certainly don't agree. But at the end of the day, the record books show that he beat Marvin Hagler, and he came out and seeked out the best opponents for the maximum money. He sprinkled in that other factor that Floyd doesn't. Floyd sprinkles in the maximum money he can make, and he can get a marginal opponent is good enough. Sugar Ray Leonard, at least give him credit, whether you like him or not, for going out there and, yes, securing a financial stable fight where he makes the maximum amount of money, but he also picked fighters that would enhance his legacy. And at the end of the day, when we look at Sugar Ray Leonard at the Large Scope Hall of Fame or all of this stuff, we look at this guy and we remember that stuff. We don't look at him and look negatively on the loss, the losses of his career. For some reason, Floyd Mayweather and his cronies, all of his fans, they feel that there's more value in that O than there is to show all of us how good he really is. So, from a business perspective, I pat Floyd in the back. I give him all the credit in the world. I wish that I could go to a casino sports book and bet $1 million and not really get crushed if I lose. I respect that from or I envy that. I don't respect it. I guess I envy that from Floyd. So, Dan the Man says, if I liked Floyd Mayweather when he was a lightweight, I liked him when he fought Corrales, but I never bought into the BS that he was the greatest because I'm not an idiot. These Floyd Mayweather fans need therapy, Billy C. Either that or they should share what they're smoking with us. Yeah, I'll take some of that. He says, a throwback fighter, that was a classic. I nearly choked on my cheeseburger listening to that one. He says, another point is that all the fighters should have an MRI scan every year, whether they've been knocked out or not. It will be able to tell you more accurately how much damage is being done. Hold a thought on the chat room. Hold the thought on the... he says, I'll see you in the chat room. That's why I said, hold the thought on the head scan for a minute because I'm going to elaborate on that in a sec. Yeah, he was better at lightweight on his way up. I think that the connection here, and I'm sure Given Quality will agree with me actually on this one. I think the connection with Floyd was that when he got rid of Top Rank, when he split with Top Rank, his focal point was able to make the maximum money, and I think his whole outlook on who he's going to fight and everything. I think the cherry picking really started then. The Corrales fights were tough ones for him. There's no doubt about that. But as he moved up, he became much more cautious. And finally, before we get into the last email, I got one from Alex Papali, who won't be with us today for the blast. He says the only thing I would say that is a throwback about Floyd is that his defense and his adherence to what is known as the sweet science to hit and not get hit. Now, this is Alex, our very own Alex, agreeing with Given Quality. And from that degree, yeah. But, the thing that I like about Floyd is that when he makes you miss, he makes you miss entirely. Some of the throwback fighters would make you miss subtly. Like, in other words, it may count as a score on today's scorecards because the punch lands, but it grazes. A good example, and the reason why I used Bernard Hopkins as a throwback fighter is because he uses the throwback technique more than Floyd. Floyd tries to make you miss entirely, which is great. And at times he does, roll his head a little bit to take a grazed punch instead of a solid punch. But the older type fighters, the throwback fighters, they weren't as they were a handful that wanted you to miss wildly, but most of them moved in a way. They move their head in a way. They move away from the punch, just so you would graze them. And the reason for that is it puts you in a better position to counterpunch. Floyd Mayweather Jr., his athletic ability is far superior than a lot of the olden day fighters, and I think that enables him to get out of the way totally, and he doesn't want to take any hit at all. So great point, and I do agree with the defense and the sweet science. Alex was on to say, but, and this is a big but. He says nothing else about him carries himself. Nothing else about how he carries himself or selects his fights or stays active or inactive or anything else at all is what Alex would consider being a definition of a throwback. And he goes on to say guys like Glenn Johnson, he's a throwback with his work ethic. He says Carl Froch is a throwback in his choice of opposition. He says Andre Ward is a throwback because of his strategic ability to undress or undo an opponent. But no, not much about Floyd is very new. I would say he has perfected the example of the modern-day pound-for-pound great, which was, modeled by Roy Jones Jr. And that's a model which, despite the extremely biased and vocal supporters both Roy and Floyd have, now is very obvious that they had limitations and inadequacies. I agree with all of that. Floyd is Carl Froch is all the reasons. He did miss Bernard Hopkins. He probably was didn't want to say because he knows how much I care about Harry. And Coach K is in the Coach K is in the chat room. He says Abner Maris is a throwback. And I agree with that. I think he's a throwback fighter as well. I was saving this one, this last email, and this is what I was saying about, hold the thought for Dan the Man, because Henry Hascup, now, you guys might have known or heard the name. He's been around boxing for a long time. He and I have met before years and years ago. I guess he forgot. I believe it was in New Jersey at a when I first met Oscar Suarez. I believe I met Henry, but nonetheless, he says, I listened to your show today, and I agree with doing a brain scan before they start boxing and to check them every few years. I have been saying this for years, but no one listens. I'm the president of the New Jersey Association of USA Boxing. Well, that means you must know my man Anthony. He says, and I know the amateurs don't have the money to put out for this, but the pros do. Here's my thought. And I've been saying this, and I wanted to make sure Henry and my man Dan the Man understand what I mean by this. It's a precaution that I believe needs to be done. We look for the safety of the fighters, and whether you guys understand this or not, and I learned this outside of the boxing business. I learned about how doctors read, and don't get me wrong, I don't claim to be a doctor. I don't claim to be somebody who can read X-rays. I don't even act like one on radio or TV. So, this is just my own opinion and my own observations from what I've been subjected to, and this is it. I learned that doctors, when they look at an X-ray from a patient that they have no history on, they revert, which they would have to textbook, which means within tolerance. In other words, I'll give you an example. I've used this one before. My dad, right? My dad has a kidney. One of his kidneys are a different size than the other one. So everyone's got two kidneys, hopefully, and one is abnormally bigger than the other one. He was involved in a motorcycle accident years and years ago, and he never goes to the doctor or nothing like that. And when they X-rayed him to check him out, they immediately thought that he had kidney damage, and they started all of this crap. Well, it turned out that his kidney was normal, but it was just enlarged. It was just a bigger kidney. The doctors had no knowledge of that, because when they looked at the X-ray for the first time, they saw one kidney being big and one kidney being small, and the tolerance within an X-ray, the way a human kidney should look, they should look this way, and blah, blah, blah. And that's what caused them to go to that direction. Well, the head scan is the same thing. If a doctor or a specialist is looking at a head scan for the very first time, they look at the way the skull is, the way the brain sits in the skull and the membrane, and if everything looks cool and it's within tolerance of what a normal brain scan should look like, they say it's cool, it's okay. All right? And in some cases, it may not be okay. It may be a case where it looks damaged when it's not, or vice versa. It looks like it's not damaged, then it is. My point about head scans, and this is one reason I support strong commissions like the New York State Athletic Commission and the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because they require head scans, every few years in order to fight in their state. That's great, okay? It's great to have a head scan if you know what you're looking at. My argument a lot of times is that the doctors are running head scans and they're looking at this with intolerance mentality. I think that, and quite honestly, I'm not so sure these doctors review the older head scans. That's another issue that is another subject. But the bottom line is, when these guys are reviewing these head scans, are they really comparing it to a previous head scan, or are they just looking at it with intolerance again, which could be, it could hurt the fighter. My idea was to require a fighter, before they get issued their federal ID card, which is basically their I'm a pro status, that they have to undergo a complete head scan. And that head scan gets put on file, so that when and if that fighter gets knocked out down the road, that the doctors can do another head scan and do a comparison. And then at this point, they can do a comparison. They can actually get multiple head scans and see the progression or digression of something that's taken place. Now, the argument that I always have, just like when I talked to the Tim Luckenbaugh of the ABC Boxing Commission, who loved the idea and said, nah, we can't do it because then the promoter's got to pay for it, then we'll lose boxing, which really pissed me off. And I got the email to prove it, because they're supposed to be looking out for the safety of the fighters, and yet it comes down to money, money, money. And here's the thing. Henry says, pro fighters have the money to pay for this, the amateurs don't. Well, my point about that is that's a BS excuse. And here's why. And I use the analogy. If you're going to be a doctor, and I'm picking something expensive, if you're going to choose to be a doctor, not all people that become doctors are wealthy enough to pay for medical school. There's other opportunities, there's other options, there's other financing abilities, there's all that kind of stuff that you can research and get in. What's so different about a fighter? Let's go on the lower scale. Let's say you want to become and I don't mean it lower in terms of status, but doctors, all this education. Let's say you want to become a carpenter. You'd have to become get involved. Either you pay your dues working as a assistant, or you join a union, or whatever you do. It's an investment in sports, and it's an investment in time. It's an investment of money. In sports, if you're going to play football or hockey or baseball, you're going to invest in a certain amount of equipment, or maybe additional training or something. It's an investment into yourself. Why is boxing different? Generally everyone says, well, boxers, they come from the streets, they have no money, they're poor, they're trying to better their lives. Great. I think it's great. But there's got to be a way that they can get funding if they want to turn pro, that they have to do it. Hey, whatever they got to do to get the money to get the head scan, or if they're going to, want to turn pro, and the promoter says, hey, you look good as an amateur, we want you to turn pro. Maybe you cut a deal with that promoter. You say, well, you pay for my head scan so I can get my federal ID. I'll fight on your cards, blah, 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 whatever. There's ways of doing it. It has to be done. And once it's done, they could do it very easily. I don't want to hear any of the crap that it's too involved. You can't do it. That's BS, man. Because what they could do from this day forward, they could say, starting in January of 2013, any amateur that wants to become a professional fighter has to undergo a head scan. End of story. End of story. And they make them do it. And I guarantee, that's right, I'm going to guarantee you, within 1 decade, 10 years, that you will have no doubt better control over brain damage and Parkinsonism, which is the beginning of Parkinson's disease, which they have tied to what we used to call pugilistic dementia, is actually a name now called Parkinsonism. We had Terry Norris's beautiful wife on, and she had told us all about that. She's got a movement we wanted to do for our Hall of Fame, which incidentally was going to be this weekend. And do you know that I got calls yesterday from the local newspaper and TV wanting to come and cover it and do all of this stuff? I'm like, dudes, where was all the support, 3 months ago? Everybody's calling me wondering what's going on with this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame. Yeah, I'll tell you what's going on with it. I didn't get enough support. Last year, it all came out of my pocket. This year, we're not trying to make any money. We just wanted some support. We get no support from anybody, so that's what happened there. But anyway, great emails today from everybody. I hope everybody agrees with me on the head scan thing, because I think it's some great stuff. We're going to be doing the blast from the past coming up in a few minutes. I got some boxing news. Sergio Martinez had his surgery, and he's looking good there. We got Manny Pacquiao news. Yeah, I got some news in there. The Daniel Geale fight with Anthony Mundine is signed, sealed, and delivered. We'll talk about that. Marco Captain Huck was not happy with his performance, and he's demanding a rematch for himself. Imagine that. Salvador Sanchez the second, which is a joke, may have to get into a real fight here in the States soon. We got some other issues with Kell Brook, and all of that is coming up, let me predict, 2 minutes.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't...
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you don't have Fight Now in your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, you can visit the website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of Fight Now, we got a great fight on Fight Now this weekend. Carl Froch against Youssef Mack. Is it going to be that easy for Carl? I don't know, man. Youssef Mack's a pretty tough guy. tune into Fight Now to check it out this weekend. Like I said, all the info on the channel can be found at their website, www.fightnow.com. Some interesting points going on right here in the chat room. We're looking at people agreeing with me about the MRI. Coach K says it's under Obamacare. Come on, man. Yeah, I don't want to hear about Obama. You know, I'm so broke right now. It's because of Bomanomics. You know, but that's my coined phrase, by the way, Bomanomics. But anyway, here's the thing. We got some ideas. First and foremost, Dan the Man says the promoters should pay for the scans. My first question is, why, man? Promoters are the reason we're not getting the scans done. All right? Promoters today, listen, and I'm off the subject because I want to talk about this on the news, but, you know, we're hot and heavy into this right now. And here's the thing. Promoters, you know, there's a lot of, everybody goes, oh, boxing is, you know, it's not the way it should be, blah, 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 blah. It's because it's not on network television. It's because of this. It's because of that. It's because of the other thing. Listen, if you have to put your finger on one thing, I mean, I can blame everybody for boxing. We could blame the networks. We could blame the fighters. We could blame us, the fans, for accepting it. We could blame the promoter. We could blame, you know, managers. We could blame all of this stuff, all right? You know, but if you have to say, if the rule was you could only blame one, I blame the promoter. And the reason why is because today's promoter does not invest a penny into their product. What's their product? Their promotion company. They should be investing money. That's why we have two promoters that are at the top of the food chain, man. Top Rank and Golden Boy are the only two promoters that invest money in their fighters. They invest money in press conferences. They invest money in city to city to city to tours. You know, they invest money in ads for boxing that you see on TV. They do it. We know their fighters. That's why the other promoters try to get their fighters on their cards, on the Golden Boy or Top Rank cards, because that's where the money is. So if we have anybody to blame for the the downfall of boxing, I put the finger on the promoter, because today's promoter is ruining the sport. Now, with that said, another idea that was mentioned here in the chat room is Coach K says each commission should pay for the head scans, which I disagree with as well. New York State, who has the worst commission in the history, not their rules, the people involved in the commission right now, but they pay for head scans in New York. And, you know, promoters like it and stuff like that. But here's the problem with it, Coach. The problem with it is they pick who they want to bring in. That's why when you see fighters fighting in New York, and this happened to me recently, the New York State Athletic Commission would not approve a fight because they felt, in their opinion, that the fighters wouldn't come back to fight in New York, and they didn't want to invest the money in a head scan. It's their baseball. They get to pitch. My question is, who the hell are they? What crystal ball are they friggin' looking at that they know that the fighter's not going to come back? But the point is it's their baseball. They're paying for it. I don't want to pay for this. I'm not paying for this. I'll pay for this guy because he lives in New York. So now they're paying for head scans, but now they're being prejudiced against fighters that live outside of New York. And it's a trickle-down effect. Now the pool of fighters that you can pick for fights in New York are dwindled because there's not fighters that they're willing to test. So the burden of the commission picking up the tab for the head scan doesn't necessarily work either. You know, now, I'm not talking about head scans that are required to stay active. Example, New York State requires one every 3 years. You know, if you fight in New York every 3 years, you're going to get your head scan paid for. You know, if you have to fight someplace else that requires a head scan, you're going to have to pay for it, or your promoter is, your manager is, somebody's going to have to pay for it. That's not what I'm talking about. Forget about the head scans that take place after you're already a pro. I'm talking about having a preliminary head scan done prior to turning pro. That bill is not going to be paid by a promoter because you're not signed with a promoter. Legally, a promoter can't sign you until you're a professional. That burden, that financial burden, has to come from the fighter. So that's what that is. You know, no. They're saying that in the chat room that they have to be. No, the government. Listen, we don't want our government to. anybody that I don't understand today's younger generation. I just don't get it. Back in when we fought for our freedom in the revolution, this was actually I was born slightly after that, but when we fought for our freedom, it was because we wanted less government control. We wanted our own freedoms, and today's younger people are turning to our own government to have them do more for us, and I don't understand it. It's reverting back to it's a form of socialism. I mean, you want to keep the government separate from corporate world, and you don't want to force the government into controlling the sport of boxing and controlling. No way do you want that. You want the government to run the government. Let the government run the country. We have enough problems. Let them, get our deficit, our budgets under control. Let them protect the country from foreign invasions and stuff like that. Let them, work on our energy sources and all of that stuff, protecting the environment. All of those things. Let the government worry about that. I don't think we need to turn to them to help us with boxing or to help us with our auto industry or controlling our financial industry or our medical industry. I mean, come on, man. Come on. They can't even run the post office. So please don't get me started on that. I got to switch gears. Let me switch gears. Middleweight champ Sergio Martinez underwent his surgery on Monday. Everything went great. They're looking to clearly have his next fight, and it's looking to be in April in Argentina. So congratulations to Sergio for doing what he's got to do. It's complete. He says that everything is great, and it's the operation went perfectly, and they're happy about the results. And the WBA is also happy as well because they have just approved an interim title clash with Martin Murray from Britain, who's got a record of 24 wins and a loss, with 10 of his wins coming by knockout, and Jorge Navarro, who's undefeated. He's only got 12 fights. I'm not crazy about this matchup, but they've approved it as an interim fight, interim title. And the winner will be facing, tentatively, should be facing, they say, Sergio Martinez, and that should be taking place April 17th. So we'll be looking forward to that one. One thing I would have never thought I would have seen in the headlines was Manny Pacquiao, playing basketball against some NBA former players who are actually are legends. With guys like everybody has heard of Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller. Remember Reggie Miller? Choke. Reggie Miller single-handedly, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Spike Lee is a big Knicks fan. He's always at the Knicks games, and I'll never forget this. Reggie Miller was with the Pacers, and they're playing the Knicks in a playoff game, championship game, whatever it was. It must have been a playoff game. And Reggie Miller had choked or had messed up on a play previously in another game. So what does Spike Lee do? He gives him the choke sign. To Reggie Miller. And, man, did that fire Reggie Miller up. Reggie Miller couldn't miss a three-pointer after that and single-handedly destroyed the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. It was great. I'm a Nets fan, so I loved every minute of it. But Reggie Miller and Charles Barkley shooting hoops with Manny Pacquiao yesterday. TMZ, who must have cameras in the blades of grass that you step on. They haven't have gotten it. The story, Manny Pacquiao was working out. He was doing some training, doing some running and working out and stuff like that, and decided to shoot some hoops. And who's he end up shooting hoops with? Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller. And they were filming a segment for TNT, which handles a lot of NBA games, and they all played, and here's the thing, Reggie Miller said, not only is this, he's referring to Manny Pacquiao, he says, not only is this man great in the ring, but he's got an awesome jump shot too. Could you imagine watching Manny Pacquiao playing against these monsters, little Manny Pacquiao? But good stuff, man, good stuff. Manny Pacquiao can play hoops. Imagine that. The fight is made official. We knew that it was, but it's definitely happening, and it was announced yesterday that Daniel Geale and Anthony Mundine will be taking place in Australia, in Sydney, Australia. The fight was announced that it was going to be taking place, but the date and the venue was not. The date has been set, and the venue has. It's going to be at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, and the date is going to be January 30th, and it ought to be a really good fight. So, and the IBF belt will be on the line, so don't worry about the WBA belt. Marco Cattenhook, he said that Fiarat Arslan deserves a rematch. He says, I'm a true fighter, not a showman like the Klitschko's. He says, it was one of the toughest fights of my life. I respected Arslan before the fight, and I respect him now even more. He really fought his heart out. I'm not happy and not satisfied with my own performance. I know I could and should have done better. I was, and I said this before the fight, and I said it about both fighters. Obviously, Vlad was able to put it behind him, but Captain Hook didn't. He says, I was a little distracted and was thinking about fighting the Klitschko's. Of course he would have been. They were talking about that 3 days before the fight. He says, so I lost my focus, which we all knew. He says, Fiarat was at his best that night. He made me work hard for my money. It was a real close fight. I think he deserves a rematch. I can promise him that I won't make the same mistakes again, and if we fight again, I will leave no doubt that I'm a better man because I promise I'm going to knock him out. Salvador Sanchez, numero dos. He's got a record of 30 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draws. By the way, with 18 of his wins coming back, this guy is nothing like his uncle. But he may be facing Jason Velez, who's a 19-0 undefeated Puerto Rican fighter with 14 knockouts on the Cotto Austin Trout undercard in New York City at Madison Square Garden on December 1st. He is being forced to fight Velez because he wants to get a title shot, and that's the only way that he will be able to get one. Apparently, he's trying to get people to follow him a little more in the United States, so he does get a title shot. One other thing I wanted to mention, Kell Brook is trying to get his fight with Devon Alexander. They're saying, Brook's team is saying it's already done, that they just got to get the paperwork out of the way, but there's nothing signed. I like the fight, Kell Brook against Devon Alexander. Devon Alexander made a statement about Kell Brook, or Team Alexander made a statement about Kell Brook, and they said basically that who the hell's Kell Brook? He's a no-name guy. We don't want him. But apparently the powers that be are making that fight happen. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But anyway, I always love it when you get those kind of comments out of the camps. You know, who's Kell Brook? What's that guy? What are you talking about? I don't know.
Blast from the past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top-ranking Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. That belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And today's Blast from the Past, which is being sponsored by the International Boxing Organization, where their computerized ranking system is second to none. Check them out, www.iboboxing.com. Features former world champion, multi-division champ, and Boxing Hall of Famer, Eder Jaffe. Now, I just want to, normally this is a spot that my man Alex Papali does, but he's a little under the weather today, so he can't join me. So I'm going to do it myself because we're backlogged with some Blast from the Past members. So or guys, you guys that want us to do blasts on certain fighters. And if you do have a suggestion, feel free to email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I will tell you, and I will put your suggestion on the list, and we'll do it. Like one of the listeners asked us to do Eder Jaffe, and I'll tell you about Eder Jaffe. He was born in Brazil in 1936, March 26, 1936. This was a guy that did very successful in the Olympics. He made it to the quarterfinals in 1956, And he decided after he lost it, he was going to turn pro the following year, which was 1957, on his 21st birthday. So, which is kind of back then was late, considered late. 20, especially a Brazilian fighter. This was a guy that did very well in his first few fights, his first 37 fights. I'm sorry. Just dominated, knocking people out. All of his fights taking place in Brazil until he finally got a shot at the South American bantamweight title against Ernesto Miranda, which he won a 15-round decision on. Gave him a rematch in a couple months later and knocked him out in the third round, which elevated him to a world title shot, which he got in November of 1960 against Eloy Sanchez, and blew Sanchez out in 6 rounds. That kind of got him on the worldwide scene because he fought that time for the second time in the United States. And he fought a couple other fights. He was extremely busy. He was a busy fighter, fought frequently, sometimes with title fights, sometimes with non-title fights. His next, after winning the title against Sanchez, it was a vacant NBA World Bantamweight title. He put his title on the line against Piero Rollo and stopped him in the 9th round. Put his title on the line again. Now, he had several fights under, that were non-title affairs against, lesser opposition. But every time he put his title on the line, it was against a quality opponent like Ramon Oreas, who he stopped in 7 rounds in 1961. In 1962, he fought for the WBA title as well as the NBA title, and he beat Joe Medell in 6 rounds there. And he went on to continue his reign on the bantamweight division, and he actually unified the titles and was considered the undisputed champion after he beat Katasumi Akoi. Followed that up with a win over Johnny Yamento. And now, keep in mind, this is a guy that during his first 50 fights or so, this guy had not lost. He had some draws, but he had not lost. His first loss came in 1965 against Fighting Harada, and was on the line, was both world titles, the WBC and WBA bantamweight title, and he lost an extremely close split decision 15-rounder to Fighting Harada in Japan. Now, this was the very first loss of his career, and it took place, like I said, in 1966. The first fight was in 1965. Now, he was so distraught over that fight that he wanted to get right back in the ring, and he did so, and he fought Manny Elias in November of the same year, 1965, and ended up with a draw, a 10-round draw. This man admitted afterwards, Eder Jaffe, that his goal was, he was so obsessed with fighting, getting his title back from Fighting Harada. He had never tasted defeat, that he was looking past Manny Elias and did not perform well. But nonetheless, the draw did earn him a rematch with Fighting Harada. And once again, both belts were on the line, this time in May of 1966, and he lost a unanimous decision there. And was he upset after that? Yeah. He retired from the sport of boxing and took almost a 3-year layoff before he returned. And he did return, and he got back on his horse and picked up right where he left off, dominating his opponents, rattled off another 15, 20 wins or so, and worked himself into a position to get another world title shot, this time the WBC featherweight belt, and he was able to win a 15-round majority decision over Jose Legra. He fought a couple of times, and without title on the line, he fought Vincent Salvador, who had a record of 37-2 in 1973, knocked him out in 4 rounds, took a little time off, and then the WBC stripped him of his belt because of inactivity. That didn't stop him. He continued his career, and he rattled off another 8-9 victories. And here's the thing, and he finally retired in 1976, but here's the thing about Eder Jaffe. The amazing thing about him is that even at the end of his career, when most people were winding down and he realized that his career was coming to an end, he was fighting a quality opposition. If you look at his last 3 fights, I mean, in 1976, in July of 1976, he fought Jose Antonio Dominguez, who had a record of 39 wins, 7 losses, and 6 draws. He beat him. He fought a couple months later. He fought Juan Antonio Lopez, who had a 33-5 record, beat him. And his last fight of his career took place on October 8th in 1976. Fought 3 times back to back in a couple of months. And in that year, in 1976, he actually fought 7 times. His last fight being against Octavio Gomez, 56 wins, 15 losses, and 6 draws, and won that one and decided to hang him up for good. Now, there's a couple other things I want to mention about Eder Jaffe that you may not know or you may know. First and foremost, he's regarded as the best Argentine fighter of all time. I'm sure Sergio Martinez is trying to work on that one, but he's also regarded as one of the greatest Latin fighters of all time. He had 7 world title defenses before losing it to the first time to fighting Harada. He had never been knocked out in his whole career. There was only one man during his whole career that dropped him. He only hit the canvas one time, and that took place November 14th in 1958 by Jose Smeca, who dropped him in the first round, a flash knockdown, and he got up to end up knocking out Jose in the 7th round. So here's a guy, talk about a great fight. A great fighter. This guy, people talk about never being knocked out. This guy was never knocked down. Was knocked down, a flash knockdown one time. Another interesting note about Eder Jaffe that you may not realize is that he's a vegetarian and was one of the few vegetarians at the time. May have even been one of the only vegetarians at the time, or at least when he first started, to win a world title. Now today we know that we have vegans and vegetarians, that have been much publicized in their careers, but Eder Jaffe was one of the first. He also gets to brag about only one fighter in his whole career beating him. That's right, in case you missed that one. He only lost twice in his whole career, and it was to the same guy, and that's fighting Harada. In his post life, he became a boxing trainer in Brazil. And he also owns a chain of supermarkets, so he's very successful outside the ring. The funny thing about it is I don't really know of any fighters he's trained. Maybe you guys do. You can drop me a line and bring it to my attention, but I couldn't find any fighters that he actually trained. Another thing I want to make a point of real quick is that this guy came out of retirement to fight a couple of exhibition fights later on in his life. And 2 of them you can actually see on YouTube. One was against Servio de Oliveira. That was a fight on YouTube. And he also fought Alexis Arguello. And that, too, is on YouTube. So check those out, man. He did some exhibition fights. So he's still alive, doing well. From what I understand, he was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1992. He's a former world bantamweight and featherweight world champion. His career record was 72 wins, 50 coming by knockout. Unbelievable record when you think about it. 50 knockouts are more than most fighters have in a whole professional career. He had 72 wins, 50 coming by knockout. 2 losses, never was stopped. He did have 4 draws. He was only 5'4", 66-inch reach, 554 rounds as a pro with a 64% knockout ratio. Eder Jaffe is our blast from the past today, and a very justifiable blast from the past. So glad we did that one. I tell you what, I learned about the vegetarian part. I wasn't sure about that one for sure. But listen, don't forget, tomorrow we got Dax Khan going to be giving us his boxing schedule roundup. And we also have an interesting segment scheduled with Steve Lott. Now, Steve Lott is, the boxing in Las Vegas guy. And he's also, I've given you a little history about Steve. He's the guy that was the third man, so to speak, with the Mike Tyson team. You had Jimmy Jacobs and Bill Caton and Steve Lott. And Steve Lott was kind of behind the scenes. He was more with Caton and Jacobs with the film library, and he still has access to that library. And he has reviewed countless hours of fight video, and we put the question to him, who's your all-time great pound-for-pound fighter? And this has been a subject that we've been discussing here on the show, and I'm going to find out what his points are tomorrow, man. We're going to have him come on, and we'll ask him about that and some other stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll see what's going on there. We'll see what's happening here in the chat room real quick. We got some stuff that they're talking about. They're looking for they're talking about the glove issue. Are you talking about that glove issue with Wach? I gotta see what they're trying to do. Somebody was saying something about they took something out of Maurice Wach's glove. So they're looking for a rematch with Carl Froch and possibly Andre Ward, and Jay saying no rematch. I don't want a rematch. Dax Khan is saying he would like to see a rematch. And J-Man says, well, you'll see the best of Mac for a rematch. I don't know what he's talking about. They're talking about the this other thing with the glove, and Wach should be suspended. Is Vitali, exaggerating? I don't even know what they're talking about. The point is there's been some rumor, just to cover on it real quick before we take a break. There was some rumor that there's some video footage actually of Vitali Klitschko noticing that one of the gloves were altered, had the stuffing removed from Maurice Wach's glove prior to being put on. So they replaced the glove, so he fought with legal gloves. The question that they're asking in the chat room is, if it were true, how come Wach's not being suspended? Why wasn't there an issue? Was Vitali exaggerating? All those things. And I would agree, if they did catch him in the act, why not do the same exact thing that they did to Antonio Margarito? He was caught in the act. They ended up letting him fight with legal gloves, and we all know the story after that. But, hey, listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are scheduled to have Joe Santoliquito. We'll give him a shot. And if not, we'll get into some other stuff. Maybe I'll call and wake up Steve Lott then. I don't know.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Maybe Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing
with Billy C. If you want your voice heard on Talking Boxing with Billy C., then call our hotline at 845-228-8710. Leave a voicemail, or you could just tell Billy C. that you like his mustache.
Can I ask you your opinion about this idea?
I'm just trying to give you the encouragement.
Listen, all I need from you is to make sure you don't hang up on people.
Right. And if we like your call, we'll play it back on the air.
Billy, you have the knowledge and wisdom of boxing because of what you do and how well you do it.
Leave your name, hometown, and what you think of the show. 845-228-8710. We want to hear you. Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing
with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. And for all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. But speaking of now, hey, who's more opinionated than Joe Santoliquito?
Tons of athletes that have asthma, and they deal with it, pal. Deal with it. The hell with you, and the hell with you, and the hell with you. Until I see him enter the ring, where there's no jiggle to his wiggle. The man boobs aren't flopping all over the place. That's a joke. And it kind of cracks me up, this trash that they put on pay-per-view.
Joe Santoliquito. And speaking of Joe Santoliquito, who joins us right now, what's up, brother? Oh, you there? I guess you're not there. I guess we lost him already. You got to love this friggin' phone system, right? We will try and get him back, but we'll see what happens here. I was trying to wonder what the heck was going on with it the other day, but I guess we got him back now. We got you back now, right?
Back as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Well, I guess
At the tone, please record your message.
I guess we don't. I guess we got his stupid voicemail. He's probably still on the other line, and we'll give him one more shot here to try and get a hold of him. But if not, then we'll go to we'll shift gears. Are you there, Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. God, good. I had you there. I gave you a little intro. You probably heard it all, and then I lost you. But a lot of stuff to talk to Joe Santoliquito about in so little time. My first question is, because we got some issues going on, I'm dying to hear your opinion. But first and foremost, thoughts on some fights from last week. Emilio Marino losing to Abner Mares. What's your thoughts on that one?
Marino's obviously difficult to fight against. And Maris, I've said it. I've said it on your air. I've said it for a number of years. And I go way, way back with Abner. I was the first guy to ever write about Abner. He's a talent. I think he's a budding superstar. I'm happy that Golden Boy is finally promoting him the way he's always deserved to be promoted. And there came a point in time in that fight where Abner hit him literally everywhere, including his butt. Marino likes to turn and twist. He likes to do all those funky things in the ring, and Abner will keep on punching and punching and punching. Abner has a little bit of old school Oakland Raiders in him. I mean, he has a little bit of the renegade in him in terms of how he fights. He can skirt the laws of the ring a few times here and there, but he's fun to watch. He's very effective, and I thought it was a great performance by Abner.
I did too, and it was interesting to see Al Bernstein kind of retract. He got very riled up about some of those tactics you referred to, but I thought the referee did a good job because and a lot of times we watch fights where it's like in football. You're like me. You watch other sports, and in football, you see the penalty. You see the guy respond to a cheap shot, and then he gets the flag on him because he gets caught. And in boxing, God bless you. And in boxing, a lot of times you'll see somebody do something like push the head down or turn their back on him in the middle of a punch, and then that fighter that lands that punch that may stray low or in the back of the head or something like that gets the penalty or gets the warning. And in the fight with Mares and Marino, the referee said, hey, listen, just be careful. I know he turned his back on you. And he went over to Marino and said, stop pushing him down. Stop turning your back. That's why you got hit. What were your thoughts on the job the referee did?
I thought the referee did a pretty decent job.
Yeah,
I think he let the fighters fight. He wasn't over officious, as you see sometimes some referees, in fights, they can be over officious. Jay Daney comes to mind. That it's all about them and it's not about the fighters. I actually think he did a decent job because he let them fight.
Yep.
And it was kind of a difficult fight if you look at it to kind of ref in the sense that, again, with Marino's spinning and his movement, he was trying to do everything not to be hit, and Abner was throwing everything but literally the kitchen sink at him to hit him. So I thought he did an okay job.
Yeah, no, I thought he did a real good job. On that same card, Leo Santa Cruz beat up Victor Zaletta, who was a pretty good fighter. I love this Santa Cruz, man, and I like the fact that he's holds pride in fighting frequently. Where do you see him going?
Going as far as Abner or Nonito Donaire lets him. He can call Abner out all he wants, but the fact of the matter is, and I believe there's two mega fights that may have some crossover appeal beyond just the boxing fan. One is more a fight fan's fight, but I think if anybody that's into even semi into the sport would be interested in a Maris Donaire fight. I think, in my opinion, that does have crossover appeal. I think you would fill up the Staples Center in L.A. for a fight like that. The other fight, obviously, in my opinion, is Floyd Mayweather and Sergio Martinez. Santa Cruz looks. He looked decent. He looked fine. He was fun to watch, but right now he's going to have to bide his time because it's a Donaire Maris world. The shame of it is, and the BS of it is, Maris and Donaire are going to come across the same stumbling blocks as Mayweather and Pacquiao. When the sell-by date on Mayweather-Pacquiao, in my opinion, was still valid. I think it's a shot fight. I honestly can care less if Mayweather-Pacquiao fights now. It's past its due. It's done. It's a bunch of BS. But the promotional entanglements between Golden Boy and Top Rank, it has to stop. They're stunting. They're stunning themselves. They're stunning the growth of boxing. And right now, you have these guys continue to fight only in-house fighters, is a bunch of junk. I mean, I know again, guys in different sports. I sometimes field as many questions in the Eagles locker room as I ask. These guys know I'm involved in the sport. They know I cover the sport. There are fight fans out there. They're dwindling. They're dwindling because of, again, stuff that's going on. And no one's asking me about Pacquiao and Marquez because no one cares.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head with the promotional issues, and you're right. A fight with a guy like Abner Maris and Nonito Donaire isn't going to happen because they're with two different promotional companies, and it's a shame. One other fight I wanted to ask you about, and then there's several other issues I'm dying to get your opinion on. Vladimir Klitschko retained his belt against Moritz Wach. I don't think that shocks anybody, but I think what did shock some people. And I was saying all last week that you got to watch out for Wach, not because I thought he was so good, but because of some of the intangibles involved with Klitschko and the loss of Manny Stewart and new voice in his ear in the corner and all that happy stuff. What did you think of his performance? And should we take it? Should we give Wach more credit than people were giving him, or do we say that it was just another day at the office for Vlad?
I didn't see the fight. I read some things about the fight. I do know everything weighed heavily on him. I mean, he was out here in Detroit as recently. He was out here yesterday. They had a memorial service for Emmanuel, and I do know it weighed heavily on his mind going into the fight. I would define it as another day in the office for him. I'm not going to turn around and build up Wach. That's the correct pronunciation, Wach?
You're asking the guy who's known worldwide for murdering everybody's name, but yeah, I think I got that one right. It's Wach.
Well, from what I understand of that fight, I think it was something that Vladimir took it as let me do this because at the time I got a fight and it's scheduled. And you know what I think of the Klitschkos? I think very, very highly of both of them. I think they're fantastic, amazing sportsmen, above everything else as fighters. But he did what he was supposed to do. He went in there, he won. And and I think it was more or less. It sounds as if again, it was to use your words another day at the office that, and I'm not going to play any more into.
No, that's cool. That's cool. A couple of fights. There's a lot of fights this weekend, but really, the one that there's two that are going to be good ones, and the first one I'm going to ask you about is the most common one, the most popular fight, Antonio DeMarco against Adrian Bronner. A lot of people like Bronner. They think that this is the next guy, maybe the new Floyd Mayweather, so to speak. A lot of people think he's copying a lot of mannerisms from Floyd. I think he's in pretty tough against DeMarco. I think this is a huge test for Bronner. If he gets by this, then maybe he really is the real deal. What's your thoughts about the fight and who's going to win?
I like Bronner. I think Bronner's going to win. Bronner's not Floyd Mayweather, though. He's not. I think Floyd Mayweather is a one-of-a-kind fighter who's he's obviously Floyd's transcended the sport. I don't know if Adrian Bronner has the skill level and the wherewithal to transcend boxing as Floyd has. I think it's going to be an interesting fight, a decent fight. If you recall, I mean, Floyd's big stepping stone was Gennaro Hernandez, and that was towards the end of Gennaro's career. I think this is going to be a tougher fight for Bronner against DeMarco than Floyd's fight was at the stage in his career against Gennaro Hernandez. And again, Gennaro Hernandez, was a world champ at the time, this, that, and the other thing. But I think DeMarco has some more gas in his tank right now, as opposed to what Gennaro had at the time he fought Floyd. So we're going to see some things about Bronner. DeMarco is probably going to want to cut off the ring. He's probably going to want to rough him up. He's going to probably try to do what Abner Mares did to Moreno, and take that tactic and approach. But the difference being, I think Bronner has more quickness, more skill. I think he has better defensive skills than Moreno, and I think he's got to outbox him, regardless of how much Bronner might turn around and just I want to try to knock him out. I don't think Bronner wants to get into that kind of war with DeMarco, because I think it's a war that potentially could backfire. It's the type of style, it's the type of strategy that could backfire on Bronner if he wants to go toe to toe and try to mess with this guy. I mean, his best bet is to do what he does, and that's try to imitate Floyd as much as possible. He's not Floyd. He's not. Matter of fact, I'll go as far as say I don't even think he's close to Floyd.
Well, remember.
But I think people are looking. There's such a void right now. There's so many dark holes, so many potholes in the sport that they're trying to look for the next best thing that's close to Floyd, and that's and I know Bronner likes that, and I know he relishes that comparison right now in any kind of way, but it's a bunch of people right now in boxing. It's the media that we do live in today that someone turns around and sneezes on a football field, and the next coming of Tom Brady. Let's see what Bronner does. I think Bronner will win. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go see it in person this weekend. So it's been a while since I've seen and covered a fight in AC.
Just remember one fight. Antonio DeMarco was fighting Jorge Linares, and Linares, was boxing him and putting on a clinic there for a while, and eventually he caught up with him. So that's what I see with Bronner now. Bronner obviously is apparently has more skill, but he's also moving up in weight. This is his first fight in a bigger weight class, so we'll get to see. One other quick question I want to ask you, and I want to move on to something else because we're out of time already, but big fight in the flyweight division, really one of the most important fights in the flyweight division in years, and it's Hernan Tyson Marquez against Brian Viloria this weekend. Any thoughts on that one?
I like Viloria. I've always liked Viloria. He's a fun fighter. Is that going to be on Showtime?
That is actually going to be on that other channel, Wealth TV.
Oh boy, I don't have. I don't have Wealth. That's such a shame.
I don't have Wealth either, and I don't have the channel either.
I'm going to miss that live. Then I would DVR that. I mean, I would, because I'm going to be down AC doing Broner and And Seth's got to feast on somebody. So that's the other, by the way, the other major heavyweight fight out there is Seth Mitchell and Brian Jennings. You know, the kid from Philadelphia.
I love Brian Jennings. I think that, it's a shame.
I actually think Brian Jennings would eat up Seth Mitchell. The problem I think Bryant has right now is that promotional BS. I think Golden Boy is doing what Golden Boy does, and they're bringing him along against the guys. They're bringing Seth Mitchell along against guys that are decent, that are okay, and trying to get him to payday. I mean, the fight out there, the heavyweight fight out there, is Seth Mitchell and Brian Jennings. That's the fight, because right now, neither of them are Klitschko ready now, and they have to be built up to be Klitschko ready. But to be Klitschko ready, they're going to have to face each other. And Brian, I believe, Brian's main event. So there's a possibility that fight could take place. I know main events does play well with Golden Boy. Apparently, everybody else plays well with Top Rank. Everybody else plays well with Golden Boy. It's just the Golden Boy and Top Rank don't play well with each other, and that's why we never got, and we never may get Pacquiao and Mayweather. But again, like I said, who cares about that? But consequently, we never get Donaire and Maris, which is a fight that I'd really want to see. There's not many fights right now, Bill. Think about it. How many fights do you really want to see right now?
Well,
give me 3 fights you really want to see right now.
3 fights that I would really want to see right now? I tell you the truth, I'd like to see Donaire and Rigondeaux. I'd like to see Donaire. I would like to see Donaire and Abner Maris. I'd like to. I still, even though I agree with you that the shelf life is off, I'd like to see the Pacquiao Mayweather fight once and for all. And I'd like to see anybody.
I'll tell you what, though, too. I mean, I know I might stir the pot here a little bit, but I think Pacquiao's shot.
Yeah, well, we're going to see.
I think he's still world class, and he's got to be able to turn around and beat 99.9% of the fighters in the world. But in terms of that elite fighter, the fighter that was capable of giving someone like a Floyd Mayweather a fight 2 or 3 years ago, I think that fighter is gone. I don't think that fighter exists anymore.
I am not going to dispute that, and I think that that is the pressure on Manny right now for his fight in December. If he comes and puts on a Manny Pacquiao of old like performance, I think that
like you said, that Manny Pacquiao of old is.
Well, then that's it. Then it's probably going to be his last fight. Listen, I want 2 things real quick. I got to go, but first of all, Brian Jennings, when he gets his shot, he's going to be a champ for a while because he is not getting an easy road, and people are afraid to fight him. That's my thought on him. But one last question I have for you. It was brought up to us the other day by a listener that, and I know you like Floyd Mayweather and everything else. I'm not a big fan of Floyd as a person, but I think he's extremely talented and everything else. You could say a lot of things about Floyd, but this particular listener calls him a throwback fighter, which, I don't think of him as a throwback fighter. What's your thoughts?
No. He's as modern day as you get. He's a throwback. I'll tell you what, though, and I could see where the listener may have a point. In terms of Floyd's old school respect, now he may train at 2 a.m. He may train at 3 a.m. He may train after he just gets done laying some big bet on an NBA game or a college game, whatever, But he has old school respect in terms of the time and dedication towards his craft, and that's something. Well, obviously, that's what's made Floyd. Michael Jordan was always good to a point, but when he started to put that work ethic in, he started to get bigger and stronger. He started to lift. He had an off-season program, and we saw what happened to Michael Jordan, 6 NBA championships. Floyd had that ability, the skill, and I think once he started to invest that much more into himself, like the old-school fighters, like the fighters back in the day, then we see how much he's taken off. And done the things that he's accomplished. I don't think Floyd Mayweather has to have another fight. He's a first bout Hall of Famer, probably unanimous choice. I don't think he has anything else to turn around and do. And the regret is that he came along during a time in the sport where, again, the politics of the sport, I think, are far greater now than what I know of the sport back from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now 2000s, and we're in the 2010s. The political climate in the sport is far worse than it's ever been. And consequently, you have apologists out there, and you and I are part of that group. I mean, we are quote-unquote boxing people, but it's killing the sport, you know, and it's a shame. It's killing that one signature fight that Floyd has had. I mean, you could turn around and say, you know, he beat Cotto, his destruction of Hatton when Hatton was still still somewhat of a viable fighter. He destroyed Marquez, you know, and Pacquiao's fighting Marquez for a fourth time, and who knows who's going to win that. So, but like I said, and I hate to bring this up, who cares? You know, you have Broner and Seth Mitchell down here in AC, and I'm here in Philly.
Yeah,
and there's no buzz about that at all. I mean, there's really nothing about that. I mean, I have people coming to me, begging me to get Seth Mitchell and Broner on our air for a couple of the major networks that I work for in Philly. And Bill, I'll be honest with you, they're not interested. They don't care.
Who doesn't care? The networks or the fighters?
Oh, the fighters want the publicity. The fighters want anything.
Oh, the networks.
Any scrap of attention they get. No, it's the media.
Yeah, the media.
They don't. They just they don't.
Well, that's because first of all, we got to run. But I want to say this. Great point about Floyd Mayweather and the throwback connection. I agree with you. At first answer, it's like, no way, he's not a throwback fighter because you think of all the great fighters. But
he has throwback ways.
But your point,
throwback respect to him.
Your point. Well, he doesn't show respect to me in a lot of ways. But I think that your point about his dedication to, you know, being the best, and like you've said many times on this show, you know, it would be hard to find a fighter today that dedicates himself as much as Floyd does. Floyd is always in good shape. You never see him, you know, in between fights, and Lord knows he lets that go for a long time. He's always in good shape and everything else. But one last thing, I just want to make a point. You know, the reason nobody cares is about the media is because nobody knows these guys, you know, and that's a shame. The one thing we got to give Golden Boy credit for, with Top Rank, even though they won't work with each other, at least we've heard of their fighters. You know, at least you've heard of Donaire or you know Seth Mitchell. Well, not many people have heard of Seth Mitchell, but you know, you will. So at least they promote. All the other promoters are just waiting in line, waiting for their shot. So.
I think Main Events. And credit to Main. I think Main Events has done it. I think they do a nice job. I think they do a good job.
Yeah, no, I think they're coming along. I think they got a nice little stable. So, hey, Joe, great interview, and glad you could join us, and we look forward to you next week, man.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Bill.
All right, take care. That's the infamous Joe Santaliquito giving some thoughts, and I tell you, he hit it on the button with Floyd, and you know, I'm the first to admit I'm not a Floyd. I'm not a Floyd fan at all, but I mean sometimes you know, you got to give credit where credit's due, and that is a good analogy that he just gave. So you know what, Floyd does put into it. There's no question about that. And hey, you know what? I just wish he put into his schedule a little more than he does.
Wake up. It's time for
It's too early for a trivia question.
All right. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Give them a call today, 718-797-2872. That's 718-797-2872. You can also get to them by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Gleason's Gym banners, which you can't miss. They are all over the place. Click that. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you, and demand a Billy C discount for whatever you're getting from them, whether it's tickets or you're signing up for a gym membership or you're just getting some memorabilia. They got some great stuff there. And speaking of Gleason's Gym, our very own Dax Khan is going to be doing a write-up on Bruce Silverglade, the owner of Gleason's Gym, so look for that one in the near future. Yesterday's question was a tough one. It was hanging around for a long time. The question was, who was the first New York City-born boxer to win a world title? Who was the first New York City-born boxer to win a world title? Now, I gave you guys some hints. And we received a lot of answers over the last week. This question's been up there for about a week. But guess what? I finally got the winning answer. My man, now we talked about him earlier this morning. He made a great point. My man, Henry Hascup, he knew the correct answer, and the correct answer was, now remember this one because this was one that we had recycled. The correct answer was Tom Spider Kelly. He knocked out Chappie Moran to win the World Bantamweight title. It took place in New York City on January 31st in 1890. It was only 1 year before I was born. Oh, my goodness. I told you guys he didn't have a lot of fights. His career record, Tom Spider Kelly, who was the first New York City-born boxer to win a title, world title, he had a career record of 6 wins, 4 coming by knockout, 9 losses, and 4 draws. So congratulations to Henry Hascup. He won his very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. So congratulations to him. Hopefully he will enjoy that. And speaking of Henry, I have a feeling that he's going to be getting a lot of these questions right. I'm not going to mention any names, but it was brought to me. It was brought to my attention that somebody on this show that gets a lot of these questions right. We're always asking Henry for the answers. And I knew it because if something came back to me one time, I got this email, and Henry had put up a list of trivia stuff. And you know, immediately after that, this particular person emailed me with the correct answer. But, hey, it's all good, man. If you're still the first one, I don't care what your resources are. As long as you're the first one to get it right, you're cool, man. So congratulations to Henry. Here's our question for today. And now you guys got a challenge because, Henry, even Murphy saying he's known as Mr. Trivia in the boxing world. So you got a guy that's you're going up against here pretty good. So, and I've said to Henry, hey, you're eligible. You know, he's like, oh, a lot of people don't let me do it, but you're eligible. Today's question is, what well-known New York welterweight died fighting off 3 gunmen robbing his buddy's bar? It's an easy one. What well-known New York welterweight died fighting off 3 gunmen in his buddy's bar? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. That's right. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C sent you, and then I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. Call them now, 845-221-4099. Campanaro and Tomkovich. On this day, November 14th in 1917, Mike O'Dowd knocks out the real Al McCoy in the 6th round to win the world middleweight title, and that took place on this day, November 14th in 1917, in Brooklyn, New York. That's right, man. Hey, man, don't forget, we got a great show tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. Also, if you're sick of trying to catch a show live, don't forget, become a premium podcast subscriber. It's well worth the $15 a year. That's for sure. Oh, yeah, I got one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, that's right. There's only one channel. It's the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call for all the information about the channel. You can find it on the website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.